Welcome to the Sam and Joe VA Show, where we teach women just like you how to start and scale a thriving virtual assistant business.
We're your hosts, Sam and Joe, and get ready to have the control, flexibility, and freedom you've always dreamed of.
Welcome to episode 180, In the Midst of Burnout.
Yeah. I don't even know how to introduce this episode.
This is a tough conversation that we are going to have openly, kind of behind the scenes right now with you.
We've spoken about burnout a few times on the podcast in the past, but never during it. But we're at that point right now. We sat down today and we are experiencing a whole host of symptoms that we realize that we are both in burnout right now. And when it came to trying to figure out what we were going to talk about for this week's episode, like it was blank, absolute blank, right? It's like, I don't know. I don't even know if I want to talk. I don't know if I can be creative enough. This just seems like too much work. Do we just take a break? Do we step away from it? Or do we come on and just have a completely unfiltered discussion about where we are right now, which isn't in a good place?
Yeah, I think many people who end up talking about burnout on a podcast, or if you hear people talking about burnout, it's always after they've come out of the burnout and then talking about like what they were experiencing. And we wanted to shake that up a little because sometimes you can like see others who you might say, oh, they are successful. Look at them doing so well, because that's what you hear, you know, everyone shares their highlight reels. But we don't want to be those people that you look up to and think that everything always works out perfectly for them and they never have any problems and issues. And we want to be real with you today about how we're feeling. And interestingly, that we feel the same way at the same time. Like when I said to Sam this morning, I was like, I think I realized that I'm in burnout. She was like, yeah. I talked to Mark last night, Sam's husband, and said, Joe and I are in burnout. And I said the exact same thing to my husband last night too, which is bizarre.
It is bizarre. And I don't know whether it's a good thing. We've both been in burnout together once at the same time. And that was during Launch in 30 Days, like creating the Launch in 30 Days course earlier on in the year. And we shared that in a previous episode. But it's really unusual for us to experience it at the same time. And I don't know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, because normally if one of us is kind of at a low point, the other one then steps up, they take a greater load, they're the kind of cheerleader for the other one. And I think that helps somewhat. But then, yeah, what do you do when you're experiencing it at the same time and neither one of you are in a position to give that extra kind of bit of energy for the good of the partnership, for the good of the relationship, for the good of the business, for the good of everything? Like, yeah. I don't know.
And what does someone do if they are in their business on their own and experiencing burnout? Because we know that there are listeners who are in burnout or often experience it and who are the only one in their business.
Yeah, that's got to be a lonely place. That's got to be really, really lonely.
Let's have a chat about the feelings that we have and what we've noticed that we have done, because there are different signs that you are in burnout and there are different stages of burnout. Let's talk about how we actually feel right now and describe that.
Yeah. One of the things that I said to Mark last night is that even if if someone would say to me, here we go, here's an all expenses paid holiday by yourself where you can do whatever you want for an entire week and there's no consequences. You don't have to worry about the family. You don't have to worry about the business. It all just carries on without you. Like, that sounds like a dream, right? Now, normally that would sound like a dream, but I even think if someone handed that to me on a plate right now, it wouldn't be enough. Like sleeping for a week for me would not be enough. So it's that emotional exhaustion. Like when you've just got nothing left to give.
Yeah, it's hard to be creative in that space, hey? I feel tense all the time. Like even now, I'm just like, relax. I was gripping my arm before and I just have that sense of unease.
Yeah.
Constantly. And, I actually track the data, which shows me exactly what is happening inside my body. And with my Aura ring, so many red lines.
You sent a screenshot to me. When was it? Last night or the night before? It's like, look at this graph. Look at my stress level. Look at where I'm in distress. My body is physically in distress. And your body, like for the most part, that entire day, was it the day or the week that screenshot was? I can't remember.
It was the day. And that was the day where I did not work all afternoon. So after we finished at 12, I lay in the sun. I listened to a podcast episode. I went for a walk with my dog, watched some TV, just absolutely relaxed.
Yeah.
Completely. And my body was still in the stress zone that entire time. Not once did it dip down into engaged. And then, what's the other one? I'll look it up.
I mean, that's, well, you look that up. Like my brain is immediately going two places. The first is that's just scary. That you think that even when you are doing the right thing, that your body is actually still in a completely different place. But also it just goes to show that kind of like, I'm just going to take a few hours off. I'm just going to take the day off just to kind of recharge. It's obviously not enough.
It's not. So the zones are stressed, engaged, relaxed, restored. And that constant and that stress when like I didn't feel pressure to work or that there was something that I wasn't doing.
Yeah.
I actually shut my brain off and relaxed, and I could not get into the relaxed zone. 7 hours, 15 minutes in the stress zone on Wednesday. And I just, So I'm doing all of these things, right? And thinking, surely a couple of days of doing these things, I'm going to be out of that stress zone. I am doing a cold exposure, cold dip pull every morning for 4.5 minutes. I am laying out in the sun and relaxing, not doing any work, like having my phone away or just listening to something. I am humming. Apparently that helps your vagus nerve. I am going for a walk an hour every day, like a really gentle, slow walk, not like up hills or anything, with my dog, and like leaving my phone in the car. And despite all of that, I still feel anxious.
And I bet you that's like 10 times more than the average person would be doing if they find themselves in this position. I mean, it's 10 times more than what I'm doing. I'm not doing any of that.
And so what do we do to get out of it? Well, so we have actually talked about some things that we're going to do. It's like you've got to figure out how to remove things from your plate, because there's so many things that Sam, you and I are especially prone to doing this, is just like, we have amazing, awesome ideas that we want to implement, like ideas for Africa. Knowing when to pull back from those things that are causing unnecessary stress, all because we have decided or chosen or created a deadline for us that is not necessary. Like if we can pull back on some of those things, which is what we just talked about this morning, like we don't have a plan or a structure for what we're going to do week to week in terms of like launches or promo or projects we're going to work on. It's kind of like we've been doing it day by day, which is not ideal.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
I'm thinking sometimes it's easier said than done though, right? I mean, we did this early on in the year because when at the beginning of the year we looked at what we wanted to achieve. So I feel like we did everything right. Like we sat down at the beginning of the year, we mapped out the year, we knew the big
Use our
things.
planner.
We used our planner. So we've done everything right. Like we made sure we weren't overextending ourselves. We even took out the Virtual Assistant Online Summit this year, which was a massive call. But we knew there was no way we could give everything the energy it needed and be healthy at the end of the year. That's not the only thing we've taken out of this year, actually.
Yeah.
Did we not take enough out? But it's really interesting, like with the summit, when we didn't really announce that it wasn't going to happen, but we just didn't obviously announce that it was going to happen. And we had people going, oh, like really shocked. What do you mean you're not doing the summit? What? Are you crazy? It's such a successful event. Like everyone looks forward to it every year. Can you imagine if we'd taken out the awards? Like I feel as though, and I don't know if this is just us in our position in like the VA community, I feel as though we're not just letting one another down when we take things out, but we're actually letting down a whole community of people. And I guess if you are in this position and you're having to say no to clients, like you're feeling like you're letting down your clients. And that disappointing people, oh my God.
Yeah.
That's horrible, disappointing people.
Yeah. And do you think actually sometimes we think that we're going to disappoint people, but other people are like, oh, that would be fine if you push the deadline out for a month, or if you like move something around, or if you took a Friday off, or I sometimes I feel like we think it's going to disappoint people.
Yeah. And there's always going to be people that are more vocal about it than others as well. And for the most part, if people genuinely care about you, they totally understand. They really understand. And anyone that doesn't, are they your people? Are they your people?
Yeah, the other thing I'm noticing too is that I'm not getting deep sleep as much as I normally would. I think the other night I only got 45 minutes. And that deep sleep is so important for repairing your body. The REM is like processing what's happened in the day and processing memories, but the deep sleep is that repair, that like detoxifying of your brain and stuff. Not getting that enough.
No. But then the other thing that I've seen you do in the last couple of weeks is really amp up your learning. Like, we talk about fear disguised as learning. Like, I feel as though in your case at the moment, like your learning is trying to fix something that isn't going to be fixed because it's burnout. So learning about whatever it is that you're trying to learn about, unless it's learning about burnout, not going to fix this.
Yeah.
It's the latest thing about sales, or it's the latest thing about ChatGPT, or it's the latest thing about this and that and the other. It's like, that's not going to fix us. You're actually just using a lot more of your energy on something that just doesn't matter at the moment.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that to me this morning, because that made me realize that I was like feeling so out of sorts and not okay that I was desperate to find fixes for everything and anything. So this is like how I'm feeling is not going well in my life. So I'm going to try and fix everything possible in my life, because that felt like it was going to make it better. But when we were looking up all of the stages of burnout, one of them was just that like frantic achieving, implementing, like desperately overworking. And that's what I did when we implemented a bunch of new tools and updated a whole lot of systems and figured out a whole bunch of stuff. And remember I said I had the most productive day. It was amazing. I just went boom, boom, and I ticked off so much stuff. I think that was the start of burnout.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which was completely counterintuitive, because I thought that I was on fire that day and it was amazing. And it felt so good.
We celebrated it. We celebrated that day. Big time. It was like, wow.
Covering up how I was actually feeling by achieving. Because for me and for you, I think you're the same, Sam, that we are like, when you achieve something, God, it feels good.
Well, when we were brainstorming this morning around, okay, how can we fix this? One of the things that I suggested, which thank God you immediately was like, what the fuck are you thinking? Was I literally said, you know what we need? We need something new and exciting, because it's going to give us that high that we get when we're working on something new and exciting. Like, it's the worst thing that we could be doing right now is adding something new and exciting to our already list. We need to be taking things out. But once again, we've got each other to call each other out on this stuff. What if you are by yourself, which so many virtual assistants are, and they don't have somebody to just go, what the fuck are you thinking?
I think you've got to find someone. You have to talk to someone. You have to let someone know how you're feeling and really take a look at, why are you wanting to do that new thing? Or what are you telling yourself at the moment? Like really noticing what you are saying, what you are seeking out, and why. Because I would have never noticed that is what I was doing, because I thought that was amazing and I was achieving, but I was really ignoring, how do I actually feel? How does my body actually feel?
Yeah.
And then what can you remove from your list? Like if you have a big, I'm going to do this big project on my business this month, but you're in burnout, like that's the last thing you should be doing.
Yeah.
What can you push out? I would love to do so many more things before the end of the year.
Oh, wouldn't it be great? Yeah. It's really interesting. In this month's business planning session that we held this week, the intention that I set myself for November was to be present, because one of my learnings looking back at October was that I'd kind of stepped away from things. Like I didn't feel I was present. I feel as though I was hiding away. But I hadn't been able to put a handle on, I mean, that's a great intention, right? To be present, great intention. But that intention is not going to be powerful unless you actually put some action steps to getting you to that place of being present. And I was really stuck on that. And now I know why, because it's actually, isolation is a sign of burnout. Just wanting to hide, just wanting to walk away from everything, just pretend it doesn't happen. And this is something that I have to work on a lot, It's definitely probably my number one. Like if I feel as I just want to hide and run away from everything, it's probably because I'm in some type of distress or burnout.
Yeah. It's your distress reaction, isn't it?
Yeah. So my actions to be present aren't necessarily making sure that I'm showing up to more things and I'm doing more things. It's actually taking stuff out and being really intentional about where I want to be showing up and being present. Because I just can't right now be present everywhere. And there's just so many places to be present, right, in life. It's not just work, it's on a personal level too.
Yeah, my intention, I want to feel energized. And I think that was because I just feel such low energy in this phase, this stage of burnout. Yeah. Like I think I was so energized in the beginning of like achieving and wanting to do things. And then now it's like that energy has dropped and lost. And now I can't implement things. I'm struggling to concentrate enough. I'm struggling to be motivated to do things. And like I'm in that stage of I just want to like remove myself from everything.
Yeah. And we know deep down we actually don't want to.
No.
This isn't like a crisis of confidence or second guessing the VA Foundry or the podcast or anything else that we're involved in. But when you are in this dark place, because burnout, let's be honest, burnout is this far, and I'm for those of you that are just listening, not watching this on YouTube, like my little fingers and thumbs, it's a very small gap. When you're in burnout, you're this far away from depression, and that's scary. So if you're prone to depression or anxiety anyway, like that might be how it's showing up.
Yep. So there we have it. This is where we're at. This is what we're feeling.
No, we can't just depress everyone with our own dark place.
No,
we need to. Okay, so what's our plan, Jo Jensen? We can't end it there.
That's what I was getting to, Sam Brown. Okay, steps from here. Saying no to any suggestion of Saturday work. Stop ourselves from doing that. Figuring out the things that we are not going to do, those self-imposed commitments and deadlines. So we're going to have a think about what in our schedule we're going to remove, what we can pre-sort now so that in Jan we're going to take the whole month off. That's going to be good.
Which we do and we've done in the past. However, sometimes we're not like, it's like, oh, you were taking January off, but we have to show up for this, this, and this. So January is definitely going to look different to 2023's January.
Yes.
It has to.
Yeah. I'm going to continue doing my relaxing time in the sun, cold exposure in the morning, walks, stuff, like keep that going. And then like planning out and having some structure. What are we actually going to work on in the days so that we like got one thing to focus on and it's planned and sorted. We don't have to think about what we're going to do each day.
And also like we have a full-time virtual assistant that supports us. Like utilizing that resource more, because there's definitely more we could be passing on. We could be delegating for sure.
Yeah.
And just checking in. I think communicating and checking in and being really, really honest. Not just with one another, but with Lance and Mark.
Yeah, and if you are in burnout right now and you don't have a business partner or you don't have a partner, thinking about who you can reach out to another fellow VA or a best friend or someone that you can actually talk to, just so that you can share it and get it out and not feel like you're just keeping it inside and trying to work through it yourself. I think talking about it and sharing and saying that how you're feeling helps immensely.
I think it lessens the load. It lessens the load.
Yeah.
I mean, that can take a lot of courage though, right? Because I think there's still this feeling for a lot of people that being honest about things like this and being vulnerable can be seen as a weakness. Like, is there a virtual assistant listening to this right now who maybe thought that they were going to book in a one-on-one session with us for some private coaching and now like, oh, well, actually they're not as perfect and got it all together as I thought they did. Right?
Yeah.
That's a valid fear.
Yeah. Even like talking to your clients about, maybe not like that you're in burnout and how you feel, but like, hey, I'm going to have this day off, or what could we do? I need some time off. I need some time to recharge. Like, can we do this? Can we move this deadline out? Like, actually having that conversation with your client.
Oh, taking a look at your boundaries with everybody around you, clients especially, but not clients alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you let those boundaries slide? And how does the next 2 months look? What can you be pulling out? Is it a reminder to be really intentional with what you say yes to for the next couple of months and lead up to Christmas? And that, once again, that's not just on a business level, but that's also personally, like all of the influx of invites to Christmas dues, whether it's virtual or in person, drinks, lunches, dinners, parties, all the school stuff that starts amping up, like as they wind up the year. Do you have to be at everything?
Yeah. Yeah. I think intentional choices, consciously choosing things or not choosing things, I think is going to be key. Because if you keep saying yes to everything and just, and nothing, you don't make any changes, like how can it get better?
A concern of mine is that when you're in this space, in this place, that it's really easy to get caught up in, oh, okay, right, this means that we're not actually going to meet this target or this goal that we had planned, and that sucks. And is this a failure on our part, that saying no to this or letting go of this idea of how the last part of the year is going to look, instead of going, you know what, but look at all the bloody amazing things that we have achieved this year. It may have almost killed us, but we've done this, this, and this, and this, and we've had all this great feedback, and like reminding ourselves of the bigger picture, like the entire 12 months, maybe not just the last 2.
Yeah.
What are we grateful for? Because there is, if you can find even just the smallest thing that you can be grateful for. Like, we haven't done that today. Maybe that would help. We actually haven't sat down. Oh, okay. What are you holding up, Jo?
Gratitude. Like, this has been so handy. A notebook to every day, 3 things you're grateful for.
I used to think gratitude was what's the word? Baloney, like just a whole heap of woo rubbish. I honestly did. Like, how can taking time to, oh, I'm so grateful for this and that and the other, like, how does that help? But it does. Powerful.
Like vibrationally, it is one of the higher vibration levels, and you can't experience joy without gratitude.
No.
If you don't have any gratitude, you cannot experience joy. That was just like mind blowing when I read that. It's like, wow, that's so true.
Repeat that.
You cannot experience joy without gratitude.
Wow.
So even in the midst of burnout, there are always things to be grateful for, and they can be small.
Yeah, they don't have to be massive wins, right? It could just be, because I think we need to, as soon as we stop this, we could do it now. We could actually do this exercise right now, Joe. Like, it might be hard to find the big, cool, sexy things to be grateful for. It might just be the fantail that I saw outside the kitchen window this morning. I love fantails and I don't see them enough. And whenever I do, it's like, oh my gosh. And I bring everyone into the kitchen and look at the fantail. And they're just like, oh, again? It's like, oh, but it's so special. So I'm grateful for the fantail I saw today.
I am grateful for so much greenery and lawn and like beautiful view that I get to look out at from my working space.
That's cool. I am grateful for our community, who, especially our regular listeners, because I know there's going to be people that reach out to us next week when this goes live. So already I'm grateful for that, knowing that we've got that support.
Yeah, I'm grateful for those who put their trust in us to be part of our world and to get help and support and trust in our advice. I love that so much. Very grateful for that.
I'm grateful for you for calling me out when I need to be called out and for saying no when I'm not able to say no, and for your support and understanding. Yeah, I'm grateful for you.
Thank you. I am grateful that I can have time where I'm like, during the middle of the day, I'm not going to do anything right now and I'm going to go for a walk or I'm going to go sit up on my deck in the sun. Like having the ability to have that flexibility. I'm so grateful for that, and that you don't make me feel guilty for that. You encourage that and are so supportive of that.
Yeah, I'm going to have to piggyback on for that. I'm so grateful for what we do and the flexibility it allows us. Because you can imagine how much more difficult it might be for those that are in a traditional 9-to-5 and maybe without a supportive manager or team lead that they can even go to and have this discussion about how they're feeling.
Yep. Another great reason to have a VA business.
I'm grateful for Maria, our virtual assistant. My God, how much worse or how quicker would we have been in burnout this year without her?
Yeah, that's a new thing this year, having someone full-time working with us.
Yeah. Never had full-time support. That was a big decision, but oh gosh, we needed to do it. We should have done it earlier.
We've done it now, so that's all that matters.
Anything else? This is good. Do you already feel a little bit kind of more?
Yeah, I do actually. Yes, I feel more joyful. Like I have a smile on my face now.
Yeah, the tone of your voice has changed a wee bit. It was very low and low to start out with, but I feel like you've got a little bit more oomph in your tone.
Yeah, that's great. So if you didn't just do that with us, do that now. Start going on a gratitude rant of all of the things that you are grateful for. And just keep them flowing, because there's so many. And sometimes it just takes a few like little ones to get started. And then you're just like, it starts to really open up your world of like, wow, there is actually a lot to be grateful for.
Yeah. And don't just do it right now. Like make this part of your routine every day, whether that's a morning or an evening or even both. Like I don't think you can be too grateful in life. Like, I don't think that's a thing.
No. That would be one thing, right? Like, isn't there like when people say like too much of anything is bad?
Ooh.
No, you could be so excessively grateful and that would never be bad.
No. No, I mean, if this 5-minute exercise that we've just done right now is proof of that. Imagine if you were doing that on a regular basis, like,
yeah.
Oh, as you said, your energy, your vibe, next level. Well, I hope this wasn't too depressing for everyone.
I mean, this is very unedited, right? We're not going to go back and cut any of that. This is very conversational. This is exactly how we're feeling. This was unplanned about what we were going to talk about. So I want to put a call out. If you are listening and you are in burnout, reach out to us. DM us. Let us know. Just so we can listen, so we can help you share the load, how we can let you know that you're not alone, that we are experiencing it too. For no other reason, just to get it off your mind, out of your body, and share it with us.
Yeah. And it will actually help us too, I reckon. It's a win-win. It gets it off your chest. You're sharing the load, but also for us knowing that we aren't alone right now, because I bet you we're not the only ones experiencing it.
So we hope that this has helped you feel less alone. Now, after we recorded that episode, we actually realized that we had not been pulling a card each day from our Oracle card pack. So we did that and we decided to record it for you. So here it is.
Jo, I think we need to pull a card.
Yeah, agreed.
What do we need to know?
How do we pull ourselves out of burnout? What?
Yes.
Oh, something about slowing down.
Oh.
What is it? Take a
breather. Last corner moon in Cancer. Take a breather. Holy hecker. All right, let's read it. Sometimes situations start with much promise and then get fatigued or fizzle out. This is normal. If a situation is dragging on and everyone is becoming far too sensitive, it might be time to take a breather. Is this still what you want? If a situation is slipping away from you, it could be due to self-doubt or because too many people are trying to get their own way. If you're struggling to find a balance with a VIP in your life or a personal or professional connection, it may be time to show your feelings. There could be a clash here caused by everyone wanting to be the leader. Give the situation some air. You need to stop and revive. Emotional fatigue is as dangerous as physical fatigue if it becomes long-term. See the beauty in life to refresh your heart. I feel like that's gratitude, right?
Wow, that is gratitude.
Wow.
Okay, so getting ourselves out of burnout. Take a breather. Revive. What's the affirmation statement in the book?
Oh, something about love.
Oh, and do a lot of gratitude.
Yeah, a lot of gratitude.
Which we felt helped.
Manifestation affirmation is love is all there is and I am love.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Sam and Joe VA Show. If you'd like to find out more, head to the VA Foundry website to check out the mastermind and the amazing resources, courses, and coaching.
You can find us at thevafoundry.com.